Good morning. Welcome everybody. A soft spring morning here in London. It's been very sweet actually, because the last two times that I've held these daily meditations at Sangha, the first one was in midsummer in June and the second one was midwinter in December. Now it feels very much here in London in the fullness of spring. And then I'll be doing one in the autumn. It's nice to be here with you through the seasons of this world and through the seasons of our life. And so as we've been doing each morning together, as you arrive and say hello in the chat and settle in to your own space, also inviting a moment of feeling into this shared space. As I mentioned yesterday, it's a space beyond a space beyond space, a field beyond space, but it's also a field beyond time, and yet it's one that we all share. So beyond space and time, regardless of space and time, wherever you are and whatever time it is that you are entering this field of shared presence, just sensing everybody there, sensing each one of us with our awakening bodies, our opening minds, our softening hearts. Arriving together with this heartfelt intention to get to know love, to get to know the way love feels, to get to know the way it moves. And as I think I mentioned yesterday, my intention for this exploration is not only because it feels good to connect with love. The deepest aspiration for familiarizing ourselves with the ways in which love feels and the ways in which love moves is because when we are aligned with love, we are aligned with love's appropriate response in each moment. Which means that through aligning with love, we open to the possibility of living in and from and with love. I spoke yesterday of the way in which we're very familiar with living in and with and from fear. So responding with love and living in love is not a theoretical idea. It's not something that might happen somewhere else to somebody else. It's not something pretty that we read about and kind of sigh over. It's not something that we might get around to doing once we have finished this important assignment project. It's not something we might get around to doing once we've dealt with this issue in our lives. It's not something we get around to doing when we've become a more enlightened person. So what we're being invited to discover is that whatever we're experiencing right now, in this moment, is not an obstacle to love. Whatever we're experiencing right now in the moment is the very invitation for us to grow into embodying love in this moment and therefore in our lives. And so yesterday we explored what I was describing as love's luminous warmth. Some of you might feel some parallel with the Pali word metta, the way that love's very intrinsic flavor and color and sense and field is one of luminous warmth. Its presence in the heart when we tap into it is one of luminous warmth. Today we'll be exploring the way that luminous warmth quite naturally opens into a tenderness, which you might experience has a different quality of a different field, a different color. Those of you who are visual, a different felt sense. There's a tenderness when this luminous warmth meets pain. Often called karuna, compassion. This English word compassion can sometimes be a little misleading, perhaps, because its Latin root, compati, means to suffer with. Yet the felt sense of compassion, the felt sense of love's tenderness, isn't suffering with the suffering of this moment. At least when we understand suffering to be the way in which we contract or collapse inside an experience. The second arrow that the Buddha spoke about. When we receive the first arrow of pain and then we shoot the second arrow of our own relationship to that pain, which is in some way contracted or collapsed. So if we understand that to be the meaning of suffering, then compassion isn't suffering with. When another person is collapsed inside their own pain, we don't walk into the room and collapse next to them. It's not helpful. When we are collapsed inside our own pain, to be collapsed with ourselves is just to perpetuate the suffering. So compassion or love's tenderness instead is this extraordinarily beautiful capacity for love's luminous warmth to turn towards whatever is hurting, wholeheartedly, unconditionally, without inhibition, to soften around it, to rest beside it, to breathe into it, all whilst holding an absolute trust in the wholeness and even holiness of this feeling that is arising. Not needing to rush to fix or numb or distract, which is what we do when we are drowning in an experience. And so when I'm speaking of love's tenderness and speaking of appropriate response, I'm speaking first of the way in which we are called to understand that we meet the whole of life first here in this body, heart and mind. Sometimes the pain we're experiencing might be our own physical or emotional or psychological pain from something in our own lives. Sometimes it might be from something in somebody else's experience or their life. Sometimes it might be from a collective global situation. Regardless, we experience the pain, our own pain, someone else's pain, or the pain of the world, first here in our own body, heart, and mind. And it's here in our own body, heart, and mind that that love's luminous warmth expands to rest beside it, to breathe into it, to soften around it with love, with compassion, with love's tenderness. And it's once we contact this, once we allow the way in which love moves, when we feel the pain, our own, someone else's, the pain of the world, is through recognizing and feeling this field that we re-enter the field of love. And from this field of love, we have the access to love's wisdom, compassion, and delight, to love's flexible capacity to know an appropriate response. So at some level, compassion is always self-compassion. It always begins, at least, by feeling our own, somebody else's, or the world's pain here in our own body, heart, and mind. In a very direct way, the more we learn and grow in our capacity to spaciously and lovingly hold our own wider and wider range of emotions, the more we're able to genuinely recognize and understand and not be afraid of, and rest beside and breathe into and soften around those emotions when they arise in other people. And so it's through self-compassion, it's through our ability to be with what is difficult in our own experience that we are able to be truly empathic, and that our empathy is able to be helpful rather than simply suffering with another person. And then the same extends to the suffering of the world. And so this tenderness, love's tenderness, recognizes that this isn't easy. There's no obvious quick fix, either for our own pain, for the pain of others, for the pain of the world. We're being called increasingly to rest inside complexity, to not move with the first adrenalized response, which is the one that comes from fear, and that includes anger's reactive response or anxiety's reactive response inside it. And we're being asked to sit a little longer with this, to grow inside the deepening recognition that it's hard to be human. It's hard to have such a sensitive body, such a tender heart, to inhabit a clouded mind, a reactive mind. And so compassion has an enormous gentleness and patience. It's also holding that sometimes fierce invitation for us to keep coming back into the body, regulating the breathing, opening the mind and softening the heart. For us to stay steady to a fierce commitment to know love so that we can respond from love, to know love so that we can live in love. So we'll be practicing this morning again with beginning with some support to come into a helpful posture, and with some support to regulate our breathing from the pattern that is the fears field, one of shallow and fast breathing, to one that is slower and deeper. Those of you who weren't here yesterday, I spoke yesterday about how essential this is for us to be able to experience literally, physiologically, the field of love. Our breathing is the main component that triggers our body, heart and mind into either the fight, flight, freeze response or the rest, digest and connect response. So today, yesterday I offered breathing exercise where we just continually counted 1 to 10 to focus on the area below the navel where you could really feel the activation there, and a long, slow exhalation. And today we'll be doing the same long, slow exhalation, but in a more traditional way from the yogic tradition of chanting Om. And any chant, so if you prefer to chant, recitation from the Dharma tradition, feel free to. Chanting has this quality of long, slow exhalations. So I'll be talking you through that. We'll actually break down the Om sound so that we can feel the vibration in the belly, in the chest, in the throat, and in the face before we do the full sound. And a reminder to bring your attention into those parts of your body, because where our attention goes, energy flows. A reminder also, where possible, to breathe in through the nose. So establishing a comfortable position, whether seated or lying down. Beginning by feeling the ground, and wherever your body is in contact with the ground, and perhaps physically widening where your body contacts the ground. The buttocks, the sit bones, the back of the thighs. Establishing a long spine. A sense of broadness across the full circumference of your chest, front, back and sides. A sense of the head being balanced or placed on top of the spine in a way that is effortless The base of the skull rises up from the top of the neck so that the jaw can release down, space between the back teeth. Inner cheeks soft, lips soft and full, barely touching. Inner corners of the eyes soft and receding back. Outer corners of the eyes soft, widening and receding back. And then if you like, you can bring your hands or a hand to the lower belly area, taking your attention there as well, below the navel. And in a moment, after taking a soft, slow inhalation through the nose if possible, I invite you to make an ah sound, and directing the sound and feeling the vibrations behind your hands in the lower belly. And now an aw sound around the heart. You can place your hands there. An ooh sound. Feel the vibrations in the throat. Place your hands there if you like. And an humming sound. Feel it at the front of your face. And then bringing these 4 syllables together to the om sound, the aum. 3 times if you like. Feeling the sound as it travels up through these energy centers of your body. Just at your own pace. You could do it once. I'll do it 3 times. Feel free to travel along with me, but also just be at your own pace, your own tone, your own volume. You notice the sensations in your body, the vibrations of your body as the vibrations of the sound travel through your body. And continuing now with a few slightly longer exhalations, feeling the exhale in the lower belly. But imagining now that your exhalation begins in the brain and travels down from the brain, as if as you exhale, the brain itself slightly shrinks away from the skull. As the exhalation travels down through the body, down to the belly and down into the ground. Very soft in your mouth, soft in your eyes. Relaxed through your body. No forcing. And when you're ready, continue with normal soft breathing. Feeling the ground, feeling your belly, and the sense of your body being here just as it is. And then if you like, placing your attention now in the space of the heart. And a slightly extended inhalation, as if you're fanning the flame of the heart. If you found it helpful yesterday or you'd like to try today, simply breathing in 3 times without any gripping. Just breathing in again, and breathing in again, the throat staying very soft. Before you breathe out, however you choose, soft and slow. And when you're ready to return to normal breathing, resting your attention in this luminous warmth of the heart. Allowing for micro movements in your body, or sometimes large movements where you notice tension, continuing to release the tension of your body, of your face. Witnessing the luminous warmth of the heart as it spreads through the body. Relaxing into this field of love that's always available to us. It's always here. It is us. Inviting your attention to turn towards any place of pain. It might be here in your body. It might be here in the body through the heart. It might be here in the body through the physical discomfort of the body, of sickness or injury. Through the emotional pain of your heart. If there's a situation in your life or in the world that you experience a lot of challenge with, you can invite that situation forward until you feel its presence, contraction in your body, until you feel the place of pain in your body. And then gently turning your attention away from the story of whatever might be arising, whether it's in your own life or in another person's life or in the world. Not getting too enthralled or caught up in that story, and appreciating that right now we're practicing for the benefit of that very circumstance, whether in your own life or in another person's or in the world. And we're practicing for the benefit of this by learning to meet the pain of it right here in your own body with love. So wherever you find the place of contraction in your body, turn towards it. And witness love's luminous warmth flow and shift and change and morph into a tenderness. A tenderness that surrounds this pain, that breathes into it. That softens around it. That holds it with so much space, not needing to figure things out right now. Trusting in the inherent sacredness of this experience too. asking only that you stay here with your attention, turning towards, resting beside, breathing into with love's tenderness. Nowhere to go, nothing to do. Not meeting this pain so that it will go away. And yet sometimes pain does indeed dissolve. And love's tenderness simply expands and flows back into its natural state of luminous warmth, before expanding and flowing back into tenderness. In response to life. It's okay to feel confused, overwhelmed. It's okay to feel angry, anxious, grieving. Whatever it's possible to experience in the heart and in the mind shows up in the body. And it's here in the body that love flows to embrace, to rest beside, breathe into these places of contraction and collapse. It's okay to feel this way. It's okay to be who you are. As we come towards the end of our practice together, you might like to bring your hands to rest either somewhere on your body, your heart, your belly, or perhaps your palms come together in a prayer position in front of your heart. As we call forward gratitude for compassion, gratitude for love's tenderness. For the way in which it effortlessly embraces places of pain. Allowing us to do that too for others. Allowing us to return to the field of love when we find ourselves hijacked by reactivity, by fight, flight, freeze. Allowing us to connect more deeply with others and the world. And allowing us also to let others go, to let go of the things of the world wherever we hold on, push away, wherever we grasp or resist, in our attempts to find this same support for our pain that could never be found outside of ourselves. I'll end today with a poem I wrote quite a few years ago called Here. The tenderness here, so vulnerable, like drops of rain on glass, has always searched for anything to fill the ache. The loneliness here, so deep, beyond the reach of friendships or lovers, sits like a scar in the bedrock of my being. The fear here that the machine of life will spit me out for not knowing the rules, alert in the belly of my eyes. So when I see you see me, I reach to pour you onto my wounds, my medicine, salvation. But life beats its heart against the veneer of projection, and the cracks in my saviour remind me again that nobody else can hold me more steady than this heart here. No eyes can see this child so lonely like these eyes here. No hand can guide this soul through mystery, uncertainty, like this hand here. It's not you I've been searching for, friend. It's home and wholeness here. So thank you, friends, for your practice, your presence. It's time now for questions. If you have any, you can write them in the chat. Capital letters question, followed by your question. And a reminder that your dana is not only deeply appreciated, but really needed for this precious platform, Sangha Live, for my livelihood. All my work is through dana, so deep appreciation for that. I'll put the link in the chat. I will share the poem. It's too long for me to post in the chat. I don't have it prepared, but I will share it as usual with George, who will link it to today's recording in the daily meditations. Thank you for your sweet words. A question from Rivka. Could you say something about how to be with ongoing feelings of helplessness? Yeah, it's a challenging one. And it's mostly challenging, Rivka, in my experience, because helplessness becomes a narrative, and it becomes a posture in the body, and it becomes a habit of breathing. So those are the places to start, to recognize the narrative of helplessness, the story, the ongoing story, whatever that might be for you. And it might be interesting perhaps for you to explore that. What is the story? What is the background, ongoing narrative of helplessness, hopelessness? And also, really important, as we've been exploring at the beginning of our practice these last 2 days, and we'll continue to explore, that it's a posture of the body, that helplessness is a posture of collapse. It's an expression of deep breathing. It's a posture, an expression of collapse and contraction and shallow breathing usually. little space for life. When there's helplessness, there's little space for life. And so when we enliven and align the body and liberate the breathing, we often find that there's quite a lot of other energies and feelings behind helplessness. Or another way of putting it, we start to feel the feeling of helplessness more directly in the body rather than as a narrative in the mind. And whenever we locate something in the body, releasing the stories, aligning and enlivening the body and the breathing, we're able to turn towards it, to rest beside it, to breathe into it, and to soften around it. So that we are no longer inhabiting that story of helplessness. We're inhabiting the field of love, which turns towards and includes the experience of helplessness, which is profoundly empowering, because we are no longer helpless in the presence of helplessness. So let me know, Rivka, how that feels for you. Thank you for your reflection, Natalie. Sue asked, with the 3 short in-breaths, is there, sorry, it's always moving, is there breathing out in between each one? No. I haven't given much attention to that, so I'll just say briefly, and we'll explore that more tomorrow, because I've always given it a bit of an afterthought. So it's breathing in and holding just a mini pause, through holding the breathing muscles, through holding the widening diaphragm, the widening chest, and then another breath in. It's like sipping breath in, sipping breath in, sipping breath in, but not through holding the throat or the jaw or the face. So sometimes saying it most simply makes it easier. It's just breathe in, then breathe in, then breathe in, but without breathing out, without any gripping. So just like, it's a way of taking a deeper breath without kind of going, so just that expanding, expanding, expanding. But I'll speak more of that tomorrow. Thank you for your lovely comments. So a question from Lewis, I'm assuming to the poem I read. It's me I've been searching for, indicates a me and an I. This is different than just being. Would you agree there must be a relationship between me and something else for love to happen? So when I wrote that poem, the me I was referring to is actually love. It's so there are different levels, I suppose we can relate to that, different and sometimes feels like different stages in our own experience at any one time. So the first is when we've been caught in projection and idealization and any form of addiction, really, which is a form of projection outside of ourselves, like looking for what I need outside of me. The return back to what I described as me is a return to the acknowledgement that I, as a sense, in my own field of experience, is the only place that I can truly know and meet this pain that I've been trying to get fulfilled from the outside. So another a layer to that is then the recognition, well, this isn't me, this isn't an I here, this is this field of love that this great mystery that moves through me, that, as we've been exploring, meets and embraces and turns towards and rests beside and breathes into and softens around this pain. So it's particularly in reference to the pain that I try and get fulfillment of, or numb from, or distract, or find completion from the outside. Then I find that actually the only place it can be truly held is here in this field of being. The way love shows up is always in relationship, always. Everything, the whole of life, is a relationship. So what I was referring to in that poem was the particular relationship of love, which is me, in relationship with this pain, which is another aspect of me. It's an experience inside this field of love. And then in the next moment when I open my eyes, love will show up in relationship to what is in front of me, and love flows between us, and love flows in relationship with this thought and this feeling and this presence and this other, and this aliveness everywhere in every direction. So it's always relational. And so, yeah, I understand that I wasn't suggesting, therefore, that when I come to, when I said it's me I've been searching for, it's to step out of the projection so that then I can be in authentic relationship with other people, with life itself, to be truly in love with another, rather than in projection with another. So there are several questions here that I haven't had time to answer. And time is up. So rather than beginning a question and not having enough time for it, can I ask you either to email me your questions? Again, I'm going to write my email in the chat, or to bring them tomorrow. If it feels particularly relevant to compassion alone, feel free to email perhaps. If it's something that you think could be more generally, we're going to be exploring mudita, delight, tomorrow, but it'll still be relevant to speak to compassion as well. My email is ayalagill@gmail.com. So feel free to email me, and sending you all so much tenderness and luminous warmth, and just inviting you through the day to really watch the way love flows. When we inhabit this space, the way it's very fluid in the way it meets this moment, to align with that space of flow. And I'll see you tomorrow. Lots of love.